Across cities and industries, a specific set of behaviors is becoming a pattern. It starts with the phone placed face down on the table and left there. It continues with notification settings stripped to nothing. No badges, no banners, no sounds. Then the quiet removal from the group chat, followed by the end of the post-work drinks that were only ever attended out of habit. To an observer, this looks like a withdrawal. The immediate assumption is that the person is struggling, perhaps with depression or social anxiety. It's often read as someone pulling away for reasons they won't explain. But the internal reality is one of choice. These people are still showing up to the dinners that matter and the conversations that go somewhere. They have simply stopped performing availability for its own sake. There is a distinction here from true isolation. Isolation is defined by an unwanted absence of connection. This behavior is about presence, showing up when the interaction is real and stepping back when it isn't. Consider this vessel as a model for individual capacity. It fills slowly but drains fast. Many people are realizing their environment is demanding more than the vessel can hold, and they've stopped pretending it's bigger than it actually is. Because this behavior is showing up consistently across age groups and cultures, it suggests a common response to the same conditions. The people going quiet aren't all talking to each other, but they are arriving at the same conclusion at the same time. This collective shift is the result of what we can call an overstimulation debt. It's a deficit that builds when the volume of digital input exceeds the body's ability to process it. Between 2020 and 2024, the physical boundaries that once protected our time dissolved. Remote work and digital-first social lives meant that the small pockets of quiet, like a commute or a change of scenery, were replaced by more screen time. Home became work, which became news, which became work again. This chart shows how sensory processing actually works. The nervous system takes in information, sorts it, and then recovers. That recovery requires a reduction in input. When the input never stops, the recovery never happens. For introverts, this debt builds faster. This isn't a personality issue. It's the result of processing stimulation more deeply. As this subnetwork illustrates, introverts tend to absorb the tone, the subtext, and the social dynamics of an interaction. That depth is a strength, but it runs a much more demanding process in the background. This leads to the introvert hangover, a state of bone-deep fatigue that occurs after a day of meetings and messages. It is the literal bill presented by the nervous system for a processing load that never got the chance to recover. 2026 is the year this accumulation hits a ceiling. After years of the debt compounding, the social reward of staying responsive no longer covers the cost of the internal drain. People are creating the space for recovery themselves because the world didn't slow down to give it to them. The apps we use are designed to make presence feel measurable. Metrics like follower counts, seen receipts, and active statuses create a social architecture where absence is noticed and penalized. They rely on the feeling that going quiet means falling behind. This expectation of visibility has moved into work culture. Platforms like Slack and Teams have turned the green dot into a signal of dedication. Being reachable outside of hours is framed as a sign of a high-performing employee or a committed colleague. Eventually, that external pressure becomes an internal standard. It manifests as a low-grade guilt that kicks in whenever a phone is put away. The feeling that being unreachable is a kind of failure, a door left closed that you owe an explanation for. For an introvert, this means spending a massive amount of energy overriding their own needs just to perform a version of themselves that runs on someone else's timeline. This environment creates a choice: continue the cycle of chronic biological burnout, or actively push back against the standard of constant availability. The barrier to stepping back is a societal script that equates more connection with more success. Under this script, the person who is always reachable is framed as reliable, while the person who goes quiet is read as difficult. We can decouple this biological signal from moral failure. A nervous system asking for less input is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The guilt is not information about what you need. It's just feedback about what you've been taught to expect of yourself. Stepping back allows clarity to return. It creates the conditions to hear your own thoughts and notice your own preferences again, without filtering them through the awareness of how they'll be received by an audience. This is where we find the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is an absence, but solitude is a state of being present with oneself in a way that feels full rather than empty. When rest is treated as the structure that makes everything else possible, the withdrawal stops being an apology and starts being a foundation. The model where volume equals value is showing signs of strain. The people who built their lives around constant availability are reaching a point of exhaustion, while those who prioritize depth are often functioning better. This is the shift toward intentional presence. It means showing up fully when you choose to, offering actual attention over a performative reply. It's the friend who doesn't text constantly, but whose presence when you're together is real. The practical step is to measure your capacity by checking your energy first, not your schedule. A clear calendar doesn't always mean the nervous system has the fuel to fill it. Introverts aren't disappearing. They are demonstrating that while you can be deeply present or constantly available, you cannot sustain both at once. 15 years of digital accumulation has simply made that reality impossible to ignore.